for joining me for a new episode of Cut, Stick, Stamp, and today I'm going to be making a layout with this stamp set from Studio Calico and Lindsay Letters, which has quite a few different pieces in this sort of kite theme, but you can use it just as a swirls, just with the little lovey-dovey heart type things, or with just the really kind of aspirational phrases. Lots of different options. So I have made a whole bunch of different cards and layouts and all different projects with this stamp set, and this is one I'm going to make and film, and then you can see all the others on Shimelle.com should you wish to see more and you're watching on YouTube. So I have two photos to work with today, a 4x6 and a 4x4 I need to trim down, and on a bunch of different papers I've pulled out from crate paper, plus one old Cosmo Cricut. So I'm going to go ahead and start sticking stuff down. And this one needs to be trimmed. No, that's already ready to go. So I'm going to start with a border around the edge. And I know that sometimes this idea drives some people crazy, because I automatically cover up so much of that background paper, and my background is 2 sheets. And you know, sometimes I have the same thought and I think, why am I doing this? Should I be doing something different and not using all that paper? And then today I have been tidying up my craft room, or the space that I work in, I guess, if you want to call it a craft room, and I have to say, I have no shortage of paper. I have too much paper. And I really prefer when my layouts are nice and sturdy. So, to me, it makes sense to go ahead and keep the 2 layers, because I'm not going to run out of paper anytime soon. There was definitely a time in my scrapbooking life when that was not the case at all, and I treasured every single piece of paper like it was never going to be recreated and there would be no more paper ever made. But now somehow I am definitely the opposite of that, and I have way more paper than anyone should ever have. So the only solution, well, I have a few solutions. One is to give a bunch of it away, and the other is to scrapbook with lots of paper and not feel guilty about it. So there you go. That's my my thought for the day. And let's see. No, I think I will do that with the trimmer. I was going to do it with scissors, but it's a little hard to see where the line is. So I thought I would mat that larger photo, block in some ledger paper there for journaling. I want to mat this, but in a different color, so that there's a bit of contrast. Let me just see what I've pulled out. I have this green. Yeah. So mat that on the green. I just want to build a foundation to the page so that I know where everything's going to go, and then I will start stamping and adding that in as my embellishment. Okay, I think I'm ready to start sticking things down. This one, I haven't added ink to the others, but I'm going to add ink to this one just because it's pale paper on a pale background. And I would quite like to have a little more contrast there. That one over this side. And this one on top of that. Okay, I have this sort of modified grid where everything is pretty square, but I wanted everything to overlap just a little bit so that it's not perfectly square. And that means I'm ready to do my stamping. And I'm going to use these little offcuts from the pattern paper that I was working with as the kites from the stamp set. And I'm going to do this solid one. And my plan here is I would like to do this olive, but I don't want it to be too bold. So I'm going to try what it looks like if I stamp it twice. Yeah, this second version is what I want. So I'm going to stamp the freshly inked one onto scrap paper, and then the second one that has the leftover ink onto my my actual paper that I'm going to use. This ink pad is Yes Peas in that's the name of the color in the color theory range from Studio Calico. Yep, that's what I want, that nice pale olive, so that you can see the pattern through and it's not overwhelming. This way I don't need a second ink pad, I don't have to go buy a paler shade, I can just make it work with what I have, which is always nice. Don't think it'll fit that way, no. Okay, so that's my background. And then I'm going to do the outline with the darker olive so that I get this darker shade of the same color, and I don't want it to be perfectly lined up. I like it when it's a little bit off, just like the layers in my paper grid. And then I'm going to add text to just one of them, and I think I'll add it to this one because these papers are the most similar, so this one will be the odd one out. Right, and then I'm going to cut these out, so the stamping part is really, really simple. I have my 3 kites, but I also have these 2 little floral pieces that I cut from one of the pattern papers I was using. It's the other side to that green print that I used. And I wanted to do 3, but I'm stopping at 2 because it's really fiddly and I'm discovering that I really need to get my scissors sharpened. So I'm going to make it work with 2 purely for practicality's sake. And I have 3 kites, so it should balance out quite well. And this one I've cut from the side of the paper, so that limits me a little bit more on where it can go, and I think I would like for it to just kind of cover this little edge of the journaling there. And then I want the kites to float up the page so that one is coming up off the top of the page, and I'll cut the top edge off. And this one with the wording, I think will be better raised up a little bit, so I'm going to put pop dots on the back of that one. And place it about there. I like how the pointed shape means that it's kind of forming an arrow down to his face. And then I think this one tucked in behind the photo. And this second floral piece then can come up here in the gap between these photos. That'll work. And just tucking some behind and letting some be on top. And I'm trying to decide if I should add another title or just leave the wording from the stamp, because there's also this wording on his top, and I don't want to have too much that makes it a little confusing about what you're meant to read. So I might just live with it like this as I put the page together and do the journaling, and if it feels like it's not finished when I get to the end because there's no title, then I'll remedy that later. But I think if I put it on now, I might be overwhelming things a bit. Right, then I'm going to add some baker's twine to the bottom of the kites. But I think rather than keep them all secretive, I'm going to staple them if I can make that work. Let's see which side is going to be easiest. I had a short one for this piece down here. And I might need to just do it this way. And instead of stapling it all the way through, just staple it onto the kite. And then this one, I think I should do a little loop like that, which definitely means stapling just to the kite, which is proving a little complicated with the pop dots, but we'll get there. Okay, and then I want to take these little strings and tuck them all behind this photo here. And I'm just going to grab some washi tape to secure that. It's not going to show, so it doesn't matter which tape. Just happy coincidence that the one at the top of the stack was olive green and would coordinate not too badly. This one is too long. And then that one. Is that all behind there? Yes. Okay. I think I'll add my journaling here and see what else it needs. Journaling all done, and I've stamped the date there, and I'm just going to add a little bit more to the embellishment now that it's on the page. I'd like to bring in a little bit more of the yellow. So I have those little yellow enamel hearts, and also this little yellow color swatch die cut from a Maggie Holmes die cut pack, which I thought I could tuck up here. And I'd like to add 3 gold chipboard hearts. So I think one up here. One with this bunch of flowers over here. And then maybe one down here, even though I'm not going to cut out another set of flowers. I have this little crepe paper layered die cut, so it came like that already stitched and layered. Maybe this little gold heart can go next to that stitched heart. And then add in these little yellow enamel hearts. They're from Prima. I have no idea what collection they were in. I've had them for quite some time, but there were quite a lot on the sheet, so I have been using them for what seems like a very long time. I think because this area is lighter on the embellishment, that I'll add just a couple of these tiny little ones. And then, no, I don't, I like it there on the edge. Okay. I And what I'd like to do is bring a little bit of that olive ink tone down here. I don't want to do a whole nother kite because I like the idea of the kites being up there, but I have other things on the stamp set. So I think that little swirl, I'm going to do exactly the same thing with the scrap paper. I'm going to stamp it the first time on a different sheet and then the second time on the layout, but with the same ink color as I used on the kites. So I've got Yes Peas color. Once on there, once over here. And I'll have a look at the text and see. I'm not going to use the text, but I am going to use one of the small hearts. Now, there's this set here. This is all one stamp as it comes, but I've cut it apart so that I can use that little heart. It's just a really, really nice. I'm going to do one there, and one faded there. And I think what I'll do is then put one way up here on this kite. Just like that. And now, do I want any other stamping? Do I want any other embellishment? I missed that I pulled this out. Let's see if this will fit anywhere. I'm not quite sure why. You know, I often talk about how I don't like using pieces that have American spelling when that's not what I use here, but cents and dollar signs don't bother me, so 15 cents is okay. Right, then I just need to decide if that's where I'm going to end. Quite like if there was something just around this edge, and I may hugely regret this, but I'm going to do just an impromptu wobbly pen line. I might have not thought this if I had added ink to this layer of the page, but I haven't. And now it just looks a little too open to me, so I'm going to add this line. And that looks better to me. I'm not going to add a title. I think this wording in the stamps and then the wording on his top is enough for the page. So that's where I'm going to stop with this one. Thanks so much for watching. I'd love for you to stop by Shimelle.com and see the other projects that I've made with this particular set of stamps, so you can see some different techniques and different ideas for using that same set. If you'd like to see more videos automatically when there's a new one, please go ahead and click that subscribe button, or here's another video that you can watch if you'd like. You can find me also on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, and at Shimelle.com. Thanks for watching.